Hi, I should say hi again. I want to do one more video today because I just got off the phone with a friend of mine and she is terrified of manifesting in her life certain things related to the so-called solution to the illness we've been dealing with. She's aware that we create our reality, but she is around people that she believes who are showing her proof of things. So this is the conversation I had with her. One thing is knowing, and one thing is truly knowing and believing. And so while she says she believes, she doesn't really believe. And of course, this is because we are being taught through generations, not just in this lifetime, that we are not creators. We are victims of reality. Now, I know there are a lot of very ugly situations on this planet that we use as proof that it's not true. We don't create our own reality. But let's for a moment stick with what we're experiencing right now. There are a lot of people who are very fearful of what's happening out there. At the very same time, there are people who are really not fearful at all. What is the difference? Technically, we're all dealing with the same issue, the same quote unquote reality. So why is this reality felt so differently by different people? It's not the data. You can find data to support either position and all the positions in the middle, because it's really not a black and white issue. It's a continuum. Some people are mildly worried. Some people are a little bit precautious or cautious. There are people that, there's all kinds of people that have different takes on what's happening. Why is that? What that proves is that there is no one truth. There is no truth in this reality. Nothing is black and white. That's why we cannot persuade anybody to believe in what we believe. We might be giving reasons to them for why we believe certain things, and even ridicule them for not thinking the way we do, considering how strong the evidence is. But the fact is, there is no one truth. People who feel a certain way, their entire life and way of thinking has brought them to think that whatever they're feeling is the truth. You being a different person, you have a different reality, a different history, you will never feel exactly like they do. You might think you're relating, something is being triggered inside of you that makes you think, oh, they have a point, which is great. Being open-minded is great. It doesn't mean that their truth is your truth. So what I was discussing with her is that people running around completely terrified right now, they're not truly terrified by what's happening. They're terrified because they have fears inside that for the first time in their lives, they are okay showing. In other words, we have been taught that being fearful is shameful. No one likes to say, I am afraid. And that's why we make up words like I'm stressed, I'm anxious, all these things that are more acceptable. I'm depressed. These are more acceptable feelings, more acceptable words. But what's hiding behind this? We're afraid. It's all fear. So the question is, where does the fear come from? So right now, what the civilization's status is telling us is that all of us have some level of fear. The question is, where is it coming from? Yeah, it's okay right now to say, I'm afraid of this illness, or I'm afraid of the cure that they came up with for the illness. That's okay, that's acceptable. Everyone who is commonsensical will tell you, yeah, totally, that makes sense. I mean, I would be afraid too. But it's not that. It is a culmination of all the fear we've collected over our lifetimes, even over multiple generations, multiple lifetimes. And now all of a sudden, for the first time, we're all allowed to say, I'm afraid. That's exactly what happened from all sides of this argument. They were finally saying, I'm afraid. The reason we are afraid, and it's different for everybody because, again, there is no one truth. Everybody has different root causes for it. But the original cause we're afraid is because we have lost our knowing. We lost our knowing in regards to many different things, but mostly to the fact that we are powerful creators. Instead, we've been told our entire life and over lifetimes that we are nothing. In fact, we're shit. We're less than shit. And excuse my language, but that's literally the message in the culture. We are completely and absolutely worthless. We are dead weight, and we are, I think they call us, I think it's useless eaters. There are many of us who are discovering that there are people who have a really low opinion of humanity. I think a lot of us actually might agree with that. There are people that say, oh, I don't like people. Remember, every time you don't like something, if you're saying you don't like people, truly what you're saying, you don't like yourself either, because guess what? You're a person too. So the question is, where is that coming from? What is it about people that you don't like? Is it our humanity? Is it our failings? Is it some of us are mean or evil, in your opinion? Because you see, we all share the same energy. The energy is available for all to feed from on the planet. And while we think we don't know what's going through other people's heads, the truth is we do. We feel it all. We absorb it all. And so to go back to what I was saying, because we've absorbed all of this, we're vulnerable. We're at risk. We've taken it on. We now believe that we are worthless, just like these people have wished on us, that we are worthless. The reason all of this is coming up at once is because the time has come for us to look at this fear. Because fear is separation. The fear comes from our belief that we are separate from source, which is the biggest sham, and something that I believed for a long time. In fact, I was an atheist for 30 years, even though I knew better. And I knew better because when I was born, until I was a teenager, I actually was able to do things that reality, the way it's been explained to us, could not support, could not justify. And even then, knowing firsthand what's possible, I shut it down and said, oh, this is all baloney. This wasn't even a story I'd heard from somebody. It was my direct experience. And I said, nope, that can mean no God. I realized there was a purpose for that. I had to understand what it means to live without God. I now don't say that I believe in God. I now know there is a God. I don't have to believe. I don't have to have faith. But it took a long time for me to get here. And I recognize when there's a lack of faith in other people because I know exactly what that looks like. I saw it in myself. That's what allows fear to creep in. There's a lack of inner knowledge, understanding that we are co-creators with source. And until we know this and believe it within our bones, nothing will ever change. So this is our solution out of everything we're going through right now, is to remember who we are and to know that we are so much bigger than anything around us. We don't have to listen to one person or the other. In fact, ask yourself, who do you listen to? What do you give credence to? This person, she's terrified of the consequences that a lot of doctors are talking about from the cure for the problem we've been dealing with. But these doctors have their own consciousness. And her consciousness is to give away her power and believe these doctors because she thinks that they have truth that she doesn't have access to. How many ways we do this? How many ways we give our power away? It's over. This is not the time for that anymore. This is for us to realize everybody's opinion is their own truth. And it's not for us. We must find the truth inside ourselves. And trust me when I tell you, you do have the truth inside yourself. When you feel bad in any possible way, depressed, anxious, afraid, even though you tell yourself I have every reason, every objective reason to feel this way, the only thing that's really happening is that your higher self is speaking to you and saying, look at this. Don't stop at the surface. Don't stop as, oh, I have every reason to feel this way because, of course, I lost my job, or whatever the cause of your fear might be. The truth you need to figure out is, why do you feel that way? There could be two people having the same exact experience, and they will feel completely different. What does that show you? That we all have different truths. We all have our own reality. That alone shows you that it doesn't matter what the hard proof out there is. Of course, this is hard proof. There are even scientific studies to show this and that. It doesn't matter. Scientific studies are also a representation of the consciousness of the person and the business behind it. As I said, there are studies that contradict each other every day. And that's why technically science is supposed to move on, because something that was truth 20 years ago is no longer the truth today. So to talk about the stuff like it's the ultimate truth just shows you that's where your consciousness is, that you believe that somebody else is giving the ultimate answer to something. But no answer is true for everybody. You have your own truth and your own answers inside of you. And I hope you reach for those, even if it feels very uncomfortable. Because once you go through and you look at things, you will never have to be afraid again. You will know your own power. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.